What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to No Filter Chels with your boy Jason. So, in this video, we're going to be going over the Man City Chelsea review 1-1 draw at the Etihad Stadium. Chelsea snatching a point late thanks to Enzo Hernandez's instinctive play in the box, knowing to gate crash that back post, and just what a result that we were able to pull off. Could have arguably won that game yesterday if a few players were actually a bit more clinical with their chances. And we're going to also get into some other news regarding Ruben Amorim getting sacked by Manchester United, which is about time. It's been a long time coming for him to go. And we're going to discuss why it should have happened much earlier in the season rather than when it's taking place now. So if you like these kind of videos, you like sports, anything like that, drop a like, sub, bell notifications, ring those, get engaged in the comment section. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the Man City versus Chelsea game from yesterday, and also the news regarding Ruben Amorim and who Manchester United should be going after next. Not who will they go after next, who they should be going after next. So without further ado, we're going to get started about this review of Man City versus Chelsea, which was definitely a snooze fest if you're a Chelsea fan in the first half, but definitely picked up in the second half. So, walking into this game yesterday, going to Man City, a lot of Chelsea fans were not expecting anything to come out of this game. For me, in my review a few days ago, or preview a few days ago, I was speaking on how Man City should be putting us to the sword very early. Um, Especially with how we came out in the first half, very passive, showing too much respect to Man City, particularly in midfield, where Raju was on the ball for a bit too long. Foden was in possession of the ball for a bit too long for me. Ryan Cherky, Reinders, all were dictating the pace of the game. Even though we sat back, we allowed them to come onto us. We didn't really go on the counter press as much as I would have liked to have seen, because when you're going to Man City, a lot of teams don't like to push up too high, or they don't like to press them because of the high line they play and the possession based football they play. And with their midfield being as technically gifted as they are, it's easy for them to do two, three passes, get around that midfield to get the balls to the likes of Foden, to Shirky, to Reinders, to Holland, right, to Doku when he came on. And when you show too much respect to their midfield, it's just going to be a training ground session at the end of the day. And that's what happened in the first half. We had one chance with Neto getting the ball down that left hand side, was able to find Esteval, wasn't able to make the cleanest connection with the ball. I feel like if he would have made a clean connection with that ball, you're forcing Donnarumma to make a crazy save, which he probably would have made anyway because he was already leaning in that direction. But that ball goes in, you're probably changing the complexion of the game a little bit, forcing Man City to be more direct and to take more risks going forward, which would allowed us to play on the counterattack a bit more. I've always keep saying that this team is better on the counterattack because of the quality we have out wide and in midfield. And with Palmer being the creative genius he is, now he's not necessarily knocking down any doors right now. Yes, he scored last week. It was a pen. Okay. Like, I want to see him score from open play. Like, this is the thing that people were getting on him for last season, was that he didn't score from one point from the Bournemouth game in mid-January till all the way against Liverpool, which was a penalty kick, until May. I want to see him more in open play, be more dynamic, and be more direct with his play. I keep saying I want to see him off the right-hand side a bit more, because I feel like when he's in the middle of the pitch, because they know what the positions he likes to pick up, they're going to man mark him around the pitch. If you have Palmer out wide where he's holding the width and he's able to cut in, you're causing more problems for their center backs and their fullback to have to pinch in, which allows space for a Malagusto to overlap him, allows Reece James to overlap if he's actually playing at right back, right? It allows him and Estabao to interchange where you have a tricky winger that cuts inside and is actually the focal point of your attack with Palmer being out wide and allowing him to interchange with Estabao creates confusion for any kind of back line that they're going against. So with the little to no chance creation in the first half, you weren't really expecting anything in the second half because once they got that goal from Reinders, which, if I'm being completely honest with you, on another day, I don't think he's scoring that goal. It's just a matter of 1 in 15 of those shots goes in, and that 15th shot that he took that he's tried to do that, it went in. It was a great goal, but I just have a feeling that your goalkeeper should not be getting beat near post, no matter the the venom on the ball or the speed of the ball or the shot. I still feel like Jorgensen, yes, it's a great goal, but I still feel like you should not be getting beat near post. That's just me. That's my opinion. If you don't agree with it, tell me why you guys don't agree with it. It is hard to stop a goal that is a shot that's being fired at your near post like that, but I feel like better positioning from Jorgensen in that moment probably prevents because he made a 2 or 3 other fantastic saves in the game. Now, is he the number 1 goalkeeper going forward? Absolutely not. It's still Robert Sanchez. He had a muscular injury that kept him out of this game. I feel like if you have a Robert Sanchez in this game, honestly, he's making 3 or 4 or more spectacular saves that honestly give us a chance to keep a clean sheet, but to continue going on about this first half, Man City missed a boatload of chances with Foden, with Sherky, with Holland off the inside of the post. When I saw that shot come off his foot, I'm sitting right where I'm sitting now, thinking, "Damn, we've contained them for about 40 to 41 minutes, and that ball right there, or not really 40 to 41 minutes. When he took that shot, it was the 38th minute. And at that point, I'm like, if that would have went in, it would have just been a complete down roll spiral because it would have been that. Then the Reinders goal, you're down 2-0 going into halftime. Everyone is dejected, mentally shot. Callum McFarlane wouldn't have found a way to get this team to re-energize themselves for this second half. Then we get to the second half. He makes a few changes, takes off Esteval, takes off Achiampong, brings in Andre Santos, brings in Hato. And the minute the second half starts, there's a different intensity about this team. There's a different desire about this team when they came out. They were more direct with their counterattack play. They were more decisive with their passes. They were snapping at Rodri's ankle, which if you want to beat Manchester City, the one thing you need to do is do not give Rodri a lot of time on the ball because he's a Ballon d'Or winner for a reason. He's able to find any pass on the pitch. What the job of our midfield is to snap at his ankles. Don't give him time on the ball. And that goes for all of their midfielders, whether it's a Kovacic, whether it's a Sharky, whether it's a Reinders, whether it's Raji, whether it's Foden, it does not matter. You do not give players with that quality, especially with passing quality like that, you don't give them a lot of time on the ball. And that's what we did in the second half. Andre Santos comes in and puts in one of his best performances of the season. Yes, the Burnley game away was his best performance in a Chelsea shirt, but this is up there with one of them. We just need to be more clinical, if I'm being real. Pedro Neto had a couple chances in the second half that could have put us ahead or equalized it. And particularly the one where Enzo does a slick little skill move in the box, able to find Pedro Neto. And because he's leaning back and he's looking up, he's not going to hit that. And if he just takes his time, realizes there's nobody around him, and all you have to do is just slot it low into a corner, we're tied 1-1 before the 60th minute, and it's going to force Man City even more to take more risks. And ultimately, when we get to the equalizer, this is where I am very proud of the mentality of this team. They did not give up. They did not want to go down without a fight. And Malo Gusto does a fantastic move around O'Reilly, gets by him, puts a nice early cross into the box. And this is where I want to start talking about the crosses into the box. This is what I want to see. If you see players at the back post making a run, or even your center forward is making a nice run into the box, an early ball into the box is going to force their defense to make a decision. And when I was breaking down the highlights yesterday to my girl, I'm like, this is why I always say if you put the ball in the box, it's going to force the defense to do something that they're not accustomed to doing. Whether it's the goalkeeper coming out for a punch and he misses it, you do it in early cross, and the center backs make a play on the ball and they mishit it. They don't touch it, it goes through their legs. This is why they make a decision, and you never know where that ball is going to end up. And the ball ultimately ended up to where Enzo Fernandez was gate crashing that back post, which he's been doing very well this season, late runs into the box. The ball comes to his feet. He tries to poke it in the first time. Donnarumma makes a spectacular save to keep it out. Comes back to Enzo, pokes it in off the post, in there, runs over to the away fans, which was absolute scenes, by the way. Him jumping in there was everything. All the players running over there to the fans because the players and the fans have a connection right now that I have not seen since the Thomas Tuchel days, and even before that, the Jose Mourinho days, man, where the first time around, not the second time around, the first time around, there's a connection and there's a desire to want this team to do well. Given how young they are, given the inexperience a lot of them still have in the Premier League playing for this long in a season, they did a hell of a job. And they once again frustrated Pep when nobody expected them to do that. And now we go into the game on Wednesday at Fulham, level on points with Man United, which I will get to in a second, and 3 points behind a Liverpool that are continuously dropping points also. So we're not necessarily out of a Champions League race. I still think that there's a possibility if we can pick up form after this, go to Fulham, play well, FA Cup weekend, the following weekend, and then we have Brentford at the Bridge. The game on Wednesday is crucial. They need those 3 points to be level on points with Liverpool because Liverpool right now are still in a weird patch of form where they're not picking up points where they should be picking up points. And yep, maybe it's no Mo Salah there, but at the same time, he wasn't breaking down any doors either when he was playing with them before he went to AFCON. So a hell of a result yesterday. First half performance, much to be desired, but the second half performance, particularly from Reece James, from Enzo Fernandez, from an Andre Santos as well. Great performances. Callum McFarland, his first senior professional game as a manager in the Premier League, going against a Pep Guardiola, who is regarded as probably the greatest manager of all time, and you're able to snatch a point at the Etihad Stadium, and you're frustrating him for majority of the game. The man has a future in management. It's just a matter of is he going to stay within the Chelsea infrastructure and continue to manage the youth teams, or is he, after this game, going to look to get out and actually go find a good managerial job for him? Because I can see what he wants to do. This team still has like the Maresca tactics in them because he wasn't there that long ago. But Callum McFarland does have a future at senior management. It's just a matter of will he get that opportunity, especially after a game like this? I believe he will, but it's just a matter of when and what team will actually snatch him up. So again, a 1-1 draw at the Etihad, not the worst result, but it's definitely a result that we can look at. You use it as a confidence boost that we went there, got something out of it, and now we push on to Fulham. We push on to Brentford after that, and then we can really see where this team is mentally because Liam Rosenior is supposed to be appointed as a Chelsea manager in the next 24 to 48 hours. So we'll see what happens. I don't think he'll be the manager for the game against Fulham, but the FA Cup game at the weekend, I can see him taking charge for that. If not, then by the earliest, we will see him take charge against Brentford at the Bridge, which ironically is when the protest is supposed to take place. So it's going to be very interesting to see the scenes at the Bridge January 17th against Brentford. So being fifth in the Premier League on 31 points, hopefully we can push on from here. So with that being said, man, next part of this video, we will be talking about the Ruben Amorim sacking, and where does Manchester United really go from here? Because I don't think we're in as much of a crisis as Manchester United are. So let's go ahead and get it into the Ruben Amorim getting sacked and where they go from here. So after the 1-1 draw to Leeds United yesterday, Ruben Amorim had an explosive press conference, speaking on how he's not the head coach of Manchester United. He's the manager of Manchester United. And we live in an age now where you're not really seeing the term manager being used when you see the guy on the touchline anymore. Enzo Maresca was seen as the head coach. He wasn't seen as a manager, which is why he didn't have a say so really on team selection, game selection, and even which players Chelsea were targeting in the transfer market. He had ideas of what he wanted, but the board wasn't supporting him in terms of what would make this team better in the present moment, not 5, 6 years in the future, in the present moment. Ruben Amorim, on the other hand, has been given the funds to go get the players that he wants, per se, and try to implement his 3-4-3 system into this Manchester United team. That if you want to play a 3-4-3 system, you need to have good midfielders that can play the wing back position and go up and down the pitch, along with having two solid central midfielders that can hold the middle of the pitch and not let anything through. When you have Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro as your two central midfielders that are supposed to be playing in those two positions, one of those two players can actually do a job defensively. That's Casemiro. Even though he's older, but he's experienced, he has the Champions League experience, he has a silverware to back up his CV and his career and how he plays. Bruno Fernandes, on the other hand, is the creative outlet that this team relies on. And excuse me, and when your manager comes out in an explosive press conference like he did, then there's only one thing that's gonna happen. When you talk to the board the way that he talked to the board like that, there's only one result, and it's gonna end up with him being sacked. And Jason Wilcox had an explosive meeting with him. The sporting director, football director at Manchester United, had an explosive bust up with him after the game, I believe against Wolves, where they drew 1-1, which Wolves now have picked up 4 points in their last two games. So we'll see if they can make the great escape from hell and somehow stay in the Premier League. But Ruben Amorim, man, I mean, you want to talk about a guy that basically was walking on eggshells even when he came into Manchester United, because it's very similar to the Chelsea side of things, except with Manchester United, we've been seeing dysfunction from them since Sir Alex Ferguson left at the end of the 2012-2013 season when they last won their Premier League title, and they've been hovering around that lower end of the top six, seventh, eighth for the longest time, and they had one of their worst ever finishes last season, finishing 15th, 18 losses in the league. And Ruben Amorim was only there for 14 months, but I feel like he was there 7 months too long. You come into a squad that is completely dejected, depleted of quality, not really having the strongest infrastructure up top. And Man United, Yes, they're level on points with Chelsea, but if you look at how they play, you look at the players they brought in, a Brian Embuemo, a Sesko, a a Matthias Cunha, and the players they've allowed to leave, like a Marcus Rashford, like a Hoyland, right, like a Scott McTominay, right, who all now are at other clubs killing it. Marcus Rashford playing fantastic at Barcelona. Rasmus Højlund and Scott McTominay playing great with Napoli, right? Players leave Manchester United. Alejandro Garnacho, yeah, he's not necessarily that killer left winger that we're looking for, but he got out of a situation where he knew it was toxic. He knew it was bad. And if you go on Instagram, you go on Twitter, you can see that Garnacho liked the post from Fabrizio Romano saying he got sacked, which shows how he honestly felt about a Ruben Amorim. Now, is he a good manager? Yes. We saw what he did at Sporting. He beat Pep Guardiola last season before he made the switch to Manchester United. Went to the Etihad Stadium and shocked them at the Etihad Stadium, beating them 2-1, I believe. And he's had too many moments as the manager of Manchester United where you see the games that he's been managing and you're scratching your head on how Man United have lost these games. You know, when Bournemouth go there and beat you 3-0, when Liverpool have gone there in the past and beaten you 5-0, when you go to Grimsby Town away from home, a non-league side, right? And you lose in the manner you lose to. That is their worst defeat in the history of their club. You don't go to Grimsby Town and lose. Not with the quality of manager you have in in the quality of players that are sprinkled around this Manchester United team, man. And it's just for a club and a fan base that should be regarded as a top five club in the world in terms of market size, value, and just the following that they have. You don't expect Manchester United to be sixth in the Premier League and struggling to pick up points against Leeds, Wolves, and all this stuff. We didn't beat Leeds, but there's a lot of issues in the infrastructure of Manchester United. When you have rodents running around your training ground and inside of the dressing room, that should tell you all you need to know about the state of Manchester United. I don't care if they're sixth in the league, the level on points with us is that realistically, Chelsea are set up better for the future rather than Man United. It's weird to say that with everything that's been going on recently with Chelsea, but at the same time, Ruben Amorim and even Thomas Frank to an extent, right? Shouldn't should not have been in the job for as long as they were. Enzo Maresca at least brought silverware and got Champions League qualification in his first season. Ruben Amorim was losing games consistently. Thomas Frank can't buy a win with Spurs right now. I was doing a Premier League table predictor last night before I fell asleep, and I was doing a lot of results to see how far off like Chelsea really are from challenging, right? In the next 4 or 5 games. I have Chelsea winning their next 4 or 5 games on the bounce because of who we're playing against. But Man United, on the other hand, as I was doing the predictor, I can see them being 7, 8 points off of us by the end of the month. I can honestly see it. And whoever they bring in next is inheriting a squad that has no identity, that has no drive, in my opinion, to really want to get into Europe. And it's a similar feeling with Ineos at Man United and Blueco at Chelsea. I don't think they're there for silverware. I think they're there to make a profit, flip some players around, and then ultimately resell the team when they're at their lowest. Chelsea were forced to sell. Man United weren't forced to sell. The fans wanted them out. They wanted the Glazers out. So there's just a lot of issues with Ruben Amorim staying for as long as he did. But if you see a video of him this morning after he gets sacked, he looks happy as hell. That payout must have been fantastic. So now you can kick back, watch Man United crumble like they will, and see who comes in on an interim basis, on a permanent basis, and see if they can turn them around. I don't think they're going to get turned around. I think Man United at this point now are going to be in a free fall. Kind of similar to, in my opinion, I think Aston Villa at some point will be in a free fall. But Man United, man, I have family that are Man United fans. I have friends who are Man United fans. I just don't understand why he was there for as long as he was, and he lasted longer than Enzo Maresca. But with with that being said, man, just to go over the points of this video, Chelsea draw 1-1 with Man City. It's a good point for us, a bad point for Man City because now they're 6 points behind Arsenal. 18 games left in the season, in the Premier League season. We'll see if they can catch them. I don't want to see Arsenal at this point win the league, but if they win a couple more games and they create more of a gap to Man City and Aston Villa, I just don't see a world where they get caught, and unfortunately, they will lift that trophy if they don't bottle it. But still have a feeling that Arsenal will find a way to drop points when they're not supposed to drop points, and they will allow teams like Man City to come back into it, Aston Villa to come back into it, maybe a Liverpool at some point pick up form and they sneak back into it. Chelsea pick up form, still be 8, 9 points off by like March or whatever. You never really know. But 20 games in, it's looking like Arsenal are going to win the league. But we've seen them have 6 point leads before and completely bottle it. So, yeah, with that being said, if you like this video, drop a like, sub, bell notification, turn those on. I'm wrapping up here. Get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about Ruben Amorim being sacked from Man United, who they should go after next, and your thoughts on the Man City and Chelsea 1-1 draw at the Etihad Stadium, and a early preview of the Fulham versus Chelsea game. Just give me your lineups for that game. I want to see what you guys are thinking, all that stuff. But yeah, man. With that being said, I'm Jason, No Filter Chels. Thank you all for watching. Share with your friends, like, sub, comment, bell notifications, share with your friends, all that stuff. I'm Jason. I'm out. Peace.